Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this morning's webinar. This webinar is being recorded, so just a reminder that all attendees will be on mute. There'll be Q&A at the end of this chat. So now I'll hand you over to Ted Orme from Attunity.
Good morning, everybody. Many thanks for spending the time to come and join us today to learn a little bit more about how Attunity, Snowflake, and InterWorks are working together to unlock the value out of SAP data, stream data out of the silos of SAP and bring it into the cloud data warehouse, cloud database to show value to the business. Just a quick introduction then to the team that are going to be working here today. My name is Ted Orme. I'm VP of Technology and Alliances within Attunity. I'm going to do the part around the data integration component. Very happy to have Kevin Pemberton from InterWorks, who's going to be showing the value of Tableau, of using analytics, of getting extracting the value out of the data itself. When Graham is going to join to give the overview around Snowflake, giving the background of the Snowflake technology and where the benefits of the end-to-end platform. So as mentioned before, all attendees will be on mute. There will be a Q&A session. There are some live demos within this webinar, so forgive us for any challenges that may happen from live demo gods. But many thanks for joining us, and I'm going to hand over to Kevin to start the story.
Thanks, Ted. Okay, thank you for joining. So yes, I'm Kevin from InterWorks. We're a Tableau consultancy, so I'm going to be showing you a little bit about the visualization side of things and hopefully the value of getting your data from SAP. So let's start with a short reminder. SAP, a few fun facts about SAP. I'm not entirely convinced it can be fun sometimes, but it is software we all know and love. The enterprise resource planning tool built by SAP was a spin-off from IBM. A few engineers in Germany decided to start a new company and they set up SAP. Now, that was 46 years ago, so they've done something right. They're still going, doing really well. And back in 2007, they paid $6.8 billion to buy business objects. I suspect many of you have used business objects. It's a great tool for old school reporting and monthly reports that run on a schedule and so on. But for modern business intelligence and analytics, it's hard work. So back to ERP. I suspect many of you are already users. Some of you are looking at becoming users potentially, and it's a great tool. It's fantastic. Supply chain management, service knowledge bases, accounting and finance, HR and payroll, and most likely project management as well. One of the core functions. It's great as a single central platform to run your businesses on. The benefits of that, of course, is you are unifying potentially old legacy systems onto a common platform. You improve collaboration through using SAP, potentially lower your business's risk, and hopefully get better visibility and reporting of how your business is doing. And that last point is really why we're here today. This part's really quite difficult in SAP. It's rare that you could give business objects, for instance, to a business user. They would most likely struggle with it, get frustrated, and therefore not really get value from what they're trying to do. That reporting then ends up stuck with IT or a reporting team or an analysis team, and that's time-consuming, it's costly, and it is hard work. So what are we going to talk about today? You can see this pipeline here from bottom left to top right. SAP, our data warehouse of sorts for all of our business needs. We're going to talk about Attunity, a fantastic CDC tool that Ted's going to talk about shortly and describe how that works. But that's, in this case, primarily to take our data from SAP and move that into an analytics data warehouse. In this case, the Snowflake logo is missing, so you can see a lovely big white space in the middle there. Apologies for that. That's where Snowflake sits. Snowflake's a fantastic cloud-based data warehouse, really designed for high-speed business intelligence and analytics. And then the last piece of the puzzle is Tableau, the visualization tool. It's reporting, it's insight, it's a tool that your business users can use. Rather than being stuck in a reporting team or IT, Tableau really gives insight and answers to your business users. There's Snowflake, it's appeared. The snow has started. So let's start at the end. Let's look at Tableau. That really is the point that your business users interact with the data in your SAP system. So I'm going to jump out into a live demo. Hopefully it should work fine. So let's close that down. So I have some data. It's been extracted from an SAP demo company. It's sat in Snowflake, and I'm very quickly going to show you the Snowflake interface here. We have a number of databases. I have one here called Attunity, and I suspect some of you will recognize these tables. They're a little bit cryptic, the naming, VBAC and TVTWT. They're an interesting naming convention in SAP. But in this case, it's a relatively small data set. We have 11,000 records in this VBAC table, our sales data. So here's Tableau Server. This is a dashboard that I made earlier. Connected to that data just to demonstrate how your business user could use Tableau to gain some insight. So you'll see in here, we have our net value by distribution channel. So your users may come in, they're interested in that value by distribution channel. Apple Computer Inc. Let's say I'm responsible for Apple Computer Inc. and maximizing the sales that we do to them. And I can hover over Apple here. I can see by online store the trend, and it's declining over time from 2011 down to 2013 there. So maybe not a great trend. But direct sales has increased massively in the last few months. Fantastic, I'm doing something right there. And you'll see Tableau is very interactive. Hovers here, if we look at the bottom, the year on sales by customer. As I'm hovering over Best Run Germany, I can get some overview of Best Run Germany, the net value, the difference from the previous year. In this case, 2013 is up, let's have a look, down by 54%. So in this case, not great. These are not great sales figures, unfortunately. But it's a very interactive, it's easy to use. I can hover, I can click. Let's say I'm interested in the US over here, this mapping. I'm going to click on the USA. That cuts us down to just the US companies. Again, I can hover, I can look at those pieces of data. I have various divisions and filters. I might be interested in high tech and retail. And this is Tableau connected live to Snowflake. It's all in the cloud, and it's incredibly performant. It's a great tool. So that's very much the kind of the end user experience of answering the questions, getting the insight from your data. I'm going to move into Tableau Desktop now, which is the creation tool. So this you would give possibly to your business users, the people who want to connect to your data, to gain insight, ask new questions, develop new visualizations, potentially publish those to Tableau Server for other users in their team, possibly throughout the organization to use. So here's that same dashboard. I'm going to chance fate here, and I'm going to create a new one and just show you how easy Tableau is using the drag and drop interface. And Tableau's interface is incredibly easy. It's great. It's been designed so that anybody that uses Excel and has that kind of skill level will understand and can build Tableau visualizations. And hopefully that this tool will make people's lives easier. I see far too many people in business who wrangle data in Excel. They spend hours and days doing it, and it's crazy, and we shouldn't be doing it. So let me just quickly show you how quick and easy it is to connect to Snowflake data. In this case, I'm using Tableau Server's data server. I'm going to connect to that. And I already have a data source published. So imagine I'm a user in a team. I want to ask some questions of our sales data. This has already been created by someone else in the organization. It's been checked, it's governed, it's secure, it's performant. So I'm going to click on that sales data source, enter my details. There's the secure part. And I type my password incorrectly by the look of it. There we go. And I'm just going to click this update now button, have a quick look, make sure I'm looking at the right kind of data. And yeah, this is the one I want. Fantastic. So let's move into Tableau. You'll see here we have, again, those cryptic naming conventions in SAP, BU text. Let's just drag that out and have a quick look what that is. That's the company name. Interesting. So I can rename that. Let's make that a bit more useful. There we go. And I can publish this data source back to the Tableau data server so that the next person that comes along, they don't see BU text, they see company name. Again, we're collaboratively working on improving our analysis and insights pipeline. So let's have a quick look at the net value here. Nice and simple. Bog standard crosstab. In the Excel world, we're all kind of used to this kind of view. Let's have a look at this by year. So I'm going to drop the creation date onto columns. And there we go, we have a spreadsheet. Fantastic. That's step one. Great thing with this is we can prove and look at the numbers, look at the data, and get a good feel that we're happy that this data is correct. So let's try a visualization. I'm going to look at the creation date again, and this time I'm interested by month and year. So we can see all of the data elements here that we have, so quite a few. And I'm going to look at this net value again. So let's drop that on. And we can see our data in past years is pretty low. We've got a couple of huge spikes. We must have had some fantastic sales months, I suspect, in here. I'm only interested in the last few months. So let's show a filter. And we have this lovely drag filter here, and we can drag along. You see it's automatically updating. Actually, I'm quite interested in that spike there, so I'm going to keep that one. And possibly I want to look at this by company. So I'm going to drag that one in. You see here, I've not typed anything. I've not had to code anything. It's just drag and drop, and I'm answering those kind of questions. So here's Apple Computer Inc. I can hover over. I can see the values for that. Now, it's not the prettiest of data. This is a demo company, of course. So we have lots of empty data points, but it's really quick and easy, and hopefully you can see that. Maybe I want to look at this on a geographical map. Traditionally quite complex to do in business objects. I believe it's pretty difficult. In this case, Tableau understands geographies in your data, and you'll see country code here. It has a little world icon, so that means if we double click this, it will create a map for us. And there's all of our countries and the points where we have sold. The minute there's no data in that. So I'm going to add in this net value. I'm going to double click, and you'll see the bubble sizes change. India's huge, United States next. Maybe not the easiest of things to see, so we could increase those. Or we could even do a filled map and provide some color. So let's drag net value onto the color. And you can see, there we go. India's nice and dark. We've got lots of sales there. So very quickly, we've built a few visualizations. We can build a dashboard from that. So I'm going to drag these in, and let's drop those on. And it's not going to be the prettiest because I'm very quickly throwing this together. And I'm going to add a bit of interactivity. So I'm going to use this as a filter. And if I click on India, you'll see our other panels will filter down to that particular country, or USA. And again, you'll see those various elements. So very quickly, I've built some visualizations. I've enriched our data a little bit. I've improved our metadata. I've created an interactive dashboard. And this we could publish back to Tableau Server really quickly and easily, so that we can then provide that to our other team members. So let's do this last point and publish that up. And in a second, we should see that pop up in Tableau Server. There it is. There's our dashboard. So within a few minutes, I've created a new interactive dashboard that others can use in the team. So hopefully you can see with Tableau, it's a really simple process and a really simple tool to use to gain that insight. So how do we get the data to this point? And that really is, I think, Ted's next part is talking about Attunity, how that works, and how to move that data from SAP into Snowflake. So at this point, I'll hand over to Ted.
Kevin, many thanks. That really was the speed at which we can sort of show the visualization to show the business use case as it there, and from my part, that's really where the business users gets handed over to IT, gets handed over to the teams to say, okay, now I actually want the data. This is where the proof of concepts, the demos, the environments are all there to show value. But now we actually need the data that the production teams are running on, the most valuable data that an organization has. And that's where our uniqueness in this field is all based on CDC technologies. CDC technologies standing for Change Data Capture. Capturing the changes out of operational systems, out of those transactional systems that organizations run, and make that data available in real time across wherever the data is needed. So streaming data out of Oracle, SQL, DB2, IMS, the sort of DB2 on iSeries, on mainframe, as well as SAP. And this is really where the key components of our uniqueness in the market are being able to break that silo of SAP, break those pool and cluster tables, and bring that data into the target environment. So who are Attunity? We are that leading platform for data integration based on CDC technologies and for moving heterogeneous data across any type of environment, moving it into cloud, moving into warehouses, moving into Hadoop. But for us here, making that data available for where the teams need it and where our interaction working directly with Snowflake, bringing that data live into the cloud platform of choice for delivering data faster, where you then saw Kevin build the analytics and deliver the value there. This is where the end-to-end story plays out well, where we can bring value to help organizations. But the unique challenges around SAP are very well known because of the complexity of how SAP stores the data in the underlying database. You can't just go directly and access it and exploit that easily. You either go through a large, complex ETL process to decode those environments to make that data available. But really, we're all about speed and agile and streaming off the changes, stream data out of SAP to make that available so that you can then show those dashboards. Once those dashboards have been built, visualizations on top of the data, you can then have real-time reporting and views against your production environments. So how are we doing this? How are we able to do this? Well, we have a small component that is talking at the ABAP level within the SAP environment itself so that we get the metadata, so that we can break those pool and clustered tables, so that we understand the underlying structures of the database itself. There are, if you know the SAP systems, there are classic sort of BSEG tables and vCluster tables and the like, so that store the data within a CLOB in the underlying database layer itself, and you can't then access it. You don't know where the boundaries of the data are. So we have the metadata layer that can see the data itself, understand the data, and then stream it in real time directly into the Snowflake landing zone. So that's where the integration directly within Replicate, pushing data out into Snowflake so that you have the live data. You have data available that then your teams can start working and building on. That you can then start building those dashboards, start answering those questions that traditional BW and environments couldn't visualize and bring you in a fast way. This is the modern style of analytics, the more modern flow for data integration of get the data to the data scientists, get the data to your analysts faster, and then they can start manipulating and understanding and finding those nuggets of information. And then you go through the full, more complex ETL, the transformation process to deliver your data marts and your data environments. But you want to get the data into the hands faster and quicker so that they can start understanding how that integrates the value of that to the organization as a whole. So the flagship product that I'll show a quick live demo also is the Attunity Replicate product. Replicate is our CDC tool with a simple GUI-driven design for streaming data out of operational systems directly into multiple different targets environments. We support over 50 different sources and targets. Understanding the data and the value that sits within that to make that available whatever platform you're running in whatever use case is enabled within the organization. And our uniqueness around SAP, typically you'd be looking at a schema of a database, an underlying Oracle, but when we integrate directly with SAP, we integrate at the business object level, understanding then that the sales documents, the orders, the processes, the mechanism therefore for exposing the data so that then you can run the analytics directly against that production environment. Unpacking those pool and cluster tables is a critical component to make that data usable. How you saw Kevin just build out simple views and controls and dashboards because we brought the data directly out of the underlying SAP environment itself. So how does the architecture look? How does the endpoint environment? Replicate is an in-memory flow. Typically, the server itself needs to be installed somewhere near the source system, but we're not installing software directly against production databases. There is a small component that needs to be installed at the ABAP level within SAP, but the underlying structure of the database, the Oracle or SQL or DB2, Windows, Unix, Linux, or even DB2 on mainframes, the underlying database layer itself, we're not adding extra load, we're not adding extra software in there to manipulate the database structure itself. We're monitoring transactional logs, we're reading transactional logs in real time, and as transactions come through the log to find on the task and the definition, we're streaming that off the underlying structures and replicating and transferring it into the target environment, both on-premise and then in the cloud. And the cloud is where we're seeing the acceleration of analytics, the acceleration of moving data, and where Snowflake add the added value for being the truly database built for the cloud. And streaming us, we will stream that data directly into an S3 environment for a landing zone before pushing it directly into the Snowflake database. So we offer end-to-end replication, end-to-end moving data directly out of multiple sources, like say Oracle, SQL, and DB2 transactional systems, as well as other data warehouses. We can pull data out of Teradata and Netezza and Redshift and the like to move that directly from on-premise, from cloud to cloud, from on-premise to cloud, to whatever target environments you need to run today. We can then bring and push that data directly into the Snowflake database to run analytics faster and better. And you'll hear the story about the benefits of the overall platform just after me. So other sources that we support as well as the SAP structure, we, like I say, our real strength is around CDC components. So the transactional databases, the Oracle, the SQL, Sybase, Informix, Postgres, these are the transactional systems that we can stream data out. We can even get data out of traditional data warehousing from Teradata and Netezza and the like to stream data to move that data directly into Snowflake as well as off mainframes and other legacy platforms within the environment itself. But the SAP story really is some uniqueness there. We are that then heterogeneous platform, that universal platform to get your most valuable data out of those platforms that are running your business today, and bringing that directly into a modern platform like Snowflake to drive analytics, to drive innovation, to drive a much faster value to that end-to-end story. And that's where we're helping organizations today. We also have a simple GUI-driven design for management and overhead. We can scale up to hundreds of replicate servers. If you're, some clients today are moving thousands of databases off-premise and into the cloud. They're migrating as well as analyzing that data across a global organization. Wherever that data sits within the organization, we can bring that and stream that data into the target systems. So that's my time to do a short live demo. So again, the demo gods are looking down on us nicely, we hope, today. This is the main replicate server. This is the GUI interface for defining a task, for defining a replication component. And everything within replicate is defined by what we call sort of managed endpoints. These are the sources and targets that we can stream data from. So we can see all the different sources that we support, all the different, whether or not we're putting data out of DB2 on different platforms, out of Oracle, out of general ODBC connections, or out of SAP, Teradata, vSAM and RMS, older mainframe environments, all the different sources that we support, and multiple different targets as well. But as once you've defined a source and a target, you can just simply define then a new task. So let's call this, and we're doing both a full load, meaning everything within the source, everything that you want to, the very first time you run the task, it's accessing the underlying structures of the database and moving all of that, and then apply changes, which is the CDC component. So the changes that happen in real time out of that transactional system will automatically be pushed into the target environment. And here I have just my SAP defined source and a Snowflake defined target, and I can select then the tables, the database structures that you want to replicate, to move data between the different environments. And here it's interrogating certain sort of predefined business object sort of rules to define the definitions of the task itself. And I've got a simple sort of sales demo environment here. And then I can see the tables and the columns that I want to transfer and replicate out of this for this demo that we set up here. And I can drag and drop and move those over, or I can do a sort of, if they were looking at a normal Oracle database, he'd be interrogating the schema, and you'd be looking at the schema and primary key and looking at all the data in the schema from there down. And we can do a pattern match against that to also do DDL changes within the environment. But as simple as that, I've defined an SAP source pushing to my Snowflake target. Here we'll be able to see the connection strings you define for the bucket in which you want to send data to. And we can also do simple sort of filtering and transformation of being able to sort of change some of the data, transform it in flight. If you want to do sort of some light transformations as it moves from the source into the target environment. Think of it, replicate is really about an in-memory flow. We're defining a real-time pipeline between your production systems and your BI and your analytical platforms. And typically we might do some light transformations, simple calculations or functions, but you want to get the data in the raw out into that landing zone, into the target system itself, so that your analytical teams and your dashboards, the people like Kevin building out those analytics, they will find that environment. You can then go and change and manipulate some of the flows, but you want to get the data there faster. Here's in Blue Peter style one that I ran a little bit earlier already, and we can move over to the monitoring side of a task and see the actual tables that have been moved, the amount of data, the transfer that's been run. We can monitor and we can query and see how much data has moved over the environment and how long that takes before moving into sort of a change processing mode, picking up the changes in real time and delivering those directly into target systems. So again, all GUI driven design, understanding what's going on. You can set up thresholds and tasks so that you can report by exception. You can set up rules so that if latency builds to over a certain amount, it sends off some notification. You can set thresholds for disk usage and the like. So everything is giving you the visibility to understand all of your definitions and the flows, pulling data out of multiple different environments. Here it's just an SAP environment, but you may also have certain sort of Oracle or DB2 or other transactional systems, or is pulling out of another data warehouse, maybe sitting on Teradata as well. You want to bring all of that data into that newer platform so that your teams can start analyzing and using that data in a more agile and performance platform itself. So that's the sort of simple GUI-driven design about how you define tasks, how you define the replication itself, analyzing the source systems, all the different managed endpoints that we can define within that source, whether or not that's just traditional SAP, DB2, Oracle, and the like. It's simple to set up and configure. We're not installing anything, again, at the database layer of these transactional systems. You want to replicate and transfer data just out of an Oracle server, out of SQL Server, out of Teradata, Netezza, and like, we don't need to install software across that estate to stream real-time data out of that and push that directly into Snowflake and for your analytical teams to start building value and getting value out of the data itself. So that's the end of my part of the live demo. We're more than happy to have Q&A and questions at the end of exactly how some of the how we're accessing the logs, so certain components for how we're actually decoding those environments. I'm more than happy to fill in more details there. But at this point, then I'll continue the journey and the story on to understand how us moving that data, bringing that data directly into the Snowflake platform, and the benefits of using that and the value of that's bringing your organizations today. So Graham, I will pass over to you.
Okay, thanks very much. It's going to be my pleasure to talk about the invisible part of this demonstration, which is the performant database behind the scenes that made Kevin's demonstration really fly. Tableau's a great tool, but you need a fast database behind the scenes, otherwise it's slow to go from one screen to another. You can't be nearly as interactive. So I'm going to show a few more slides. I'm going to make myself presenter. And show my screen. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick demonstration of who Snowflake are and what we do. We think we know what companies need from a data warehouse. We think it's quite straightforward. Basically, they don't want to run a data warehouse. They want to focus on analytics. They want to do analytics. They want to support a range of data. They don't want just to be stuck with relational data, but also semi-structured data. And they don't want to be restricted in the amount of data they can work with on their platform. They also want to not pay for the peak of their demand. They want to be able to scale up and down based on their demand for for analytics, and not pay through the nose for a large amount of system resources that's not needed. And they also want to do an awful lot of things at the same time, rather than one thing after another, which means they need a lot of concurrent sessions, which is a problem on current technologies. Current technologies, you can't just focus on the analytics. Most platforms, all platforms, need some kind of tuning, tweaking, or specialist intervention. Technologies are available for working with relational data, but separate technologies work with semi-structured data. There aren't any technologies that can combine the two together in one platform. Also, this ability to scale on demand isn't there for technologies. You need to work out what your worst possible day is and configure your data warehouse for that size of requirement, and have that available all the time. It's a very wasteful way of and expensive way of paying for a database service. Also, we find that customers can't do everything they want to do all at the same time. They have to restrict, for example, the ETL process to out of hours, quiet times, And also data scientists need to do their work at quiet times to avoid disturbing the people who are running dashboard queries. However, a bit of a spoiler, there is a technology on the market that that can give you those advantages, and it's called Snowflake. So I'm going to describe the architecture that allows this kind of magic. For starters, our architecture is very different from any other database you might have come across. We have a separation of the storage of data from the computation. I'm giving an example here on AWS, but we also have a version of our product on Azure. On AWS, the data is stored on S3 centrally, and we provide a service, a database service, so that you don't need to worry about the underlying platform. You don't need to do any tuning or optimizing. You don't need to worry about the network and upgrades, etc., etc. The dream of having a database that just looks after itself while you get on with the analytics is available in Snowflake, and this is how we do it. We provide it as a service for you. To connect to Snowflake, there are many connectors. So the two pieces of technology we talked about today, Attunity and Tableau, have specialist connectors to work with Snowflake and to push down processing into Snowflake. But we have a wide range of those specialist connectors. But for something more exotic, we can connect using ODBC, JDBC, or even we have a Spark connector and a Python connector that aren't on this diagram. The data storage is one aspect of a database. The other is you need some kind of compute power to work with that data. And we provide this through a feature we call a virtual warehouse, which is a cluster of virtual machines that run in conjunction with the shared data to provide a database service. So these are, imagine them as a ring-fenced amount of CPU resource for working with data. And as a side effect, they have a caching ability, which is extremely useful when you have Tableau dashboards, where often the data is being refreshed slower than you're refreshing the dashboard many times, but the underlying data might not have changed. So we take care of caching to speed up dashboard applications. These virtual warehouses can be scalable. You can scale up. So if you have a sudden increase in demand on a Monday morning, for example, that's a fairly usual kind of case. You can manually scale up your virtual warehouse to take care of that demand and scale it down when the rush is finished. You can have many of these virtual warehouses. So I talked about the case where data science and ETL need to be run out of hours usually. You can't do everything at the same time. But the Snowflake architecture builds in that ability. You can give these separate workloads their own virtual warehouse of a particular size, and they can work independently with the common data so that you can do everything at the same time. And effectively, this gives you, with the cloud storage, you can store an unlimited amount of data. And with this virtual warehouse aspect, you can have an unlimited number of concurrent users working with that data, with the whole thing bundled up as a service, requiring no administration overhead. And if that sounds too difficult for you, the idea of scaling up and scaling down a virtual warehouse, we also have an automated feature where the system can kind of listen in to see if any of your jobs or your worksheets are queuing for resource, and in which case it will drop in a new virtual warehouse to work with the queued data. What we find with customers, how they use Snowflake, the usual kind of situation we come into is where a company has many data sources. They're loading into a staging area. They're using some kind of NoSQL solution, for example, Hadoop and with Hive for working with semi-structured data. They have a data warehouse, which is performant to a certain degree, but can't support the amount of concurrency that's needed to support all of their different applications. So they tend to have data marts and extracts for working with to work around this problem with concurrency. So when they bring in Snowflake, they find they no longer need these data marts and extracts. They can work with this idea of a virtual warehouse to work directly against the data warehouse without needing any kind of data mart or extract for serving up data. They also find that any problems they had with the scalability are solved, this ability to scale up and scale down. So Snowflake tends to replace the underlying database platform that existed. And even in some cases, because we can support natively semi-structured data alongside relational data, they don't need a separate solution for working with the semi-structured data. So Snowflake becomes the invisible bit in the middle that you've seen from this demonstration, where data is loaded into Snowflake and data is consumed by different resources, and the whole thing manages itself in the cloud. And as a bonus, it's possible for Snowflake customers to share data between themselves rather than exporting data out of Snowflake and the recipient of the data importing it into their database. Two Snowflake customers can share data between themselves, which is a very exciting new feature that we announced this year. I'll just leave you with some comments from our customers about why they like Snowflake. The performance, we've seen some rather excellent performance on Kevin's Tableau demo. We find that we are a very performant database. But in terms of concurrency, this quote from Erica here about the consistency of performance, I think is important. No matter how many concurrent sessions you have going, customers can expect a certain level, consistent level of performance from their Tableau dashboards, for example. And that's something you don't get on another database technology. And the simplicity, it was, I'm sure Kevin would totally agree that this was a breeze to set up, because Snowflake takes very little configuration and takes absolutely no tuning. It just looks after itself. And this is a feature that our customers value. So with that, we can talk in more detail about Snowflake if you want to get in touch. Otherwise, I'll hand back to Ted to round off this round off the presentation.
Many thanks. So let me just take so many thanks, and really that shows the end-to-end story that we wanted to start. We started with a business question. We started with well, what is it that you want to understand? What are the business questions that you may want to extract out of that most valuable of data? The most valuable data sitting within the SAP environment. And you have a business users, you have two different environments that need to come to access, to visualize, to understand that data better, faster, in a more agile way to the business. And that's where the flow of the pipeline that we've created here, where Attunity through CDC, capturing the changes out of that underlying structure and streaming that directly into Snowflake, where Tableau can visualize and bring you that data faster. This is where our customers are really seeing the benefits, to understand faster what type of questions can they answer. And really some of the stories we get out of our customers around that SAP data, the logistics information you can get out of the manufacturing side. So large multinational manufacturing organizations that have SAP across a global organization, making car parts in China and South America, or different components and gearbox and lights. You need to bring all that data together to visualize, to understand it faster. You still have they still have their internal reporting processes, but you want to be able to give that data to your teams to be able to understand that, to answer those questions quicker to the business. Or whether or not it's transactional data out of billing systems or HR data, the large HR systems that run on SAP, to understand that. And you want to then blend it. It's all about, you know, one of the big challenges around BI and analytics today is that you have just one silo of data and moving and replicating to another silo of data that's only answering a single business question. But when you bring all of the data together out of SAP and your transactional systems and your underlying logistics systems from Oracle and SQL and out of another data warehouse that may already have been through an ETL process, you bring multiple data sets together. That's really where then visualization tools like Tableau, to bring that together on a platform like Snowflake, you really do get the benefits of the end-to-end story. So I really want to sort of thank everyone for the time today and open up for questions. Or Kevin, if you had any other specific comments to the flow of what you wanted to highlight, we discussed today. Any questions, do please add to the chat window, and we'll hopefully answer as much as we can. So I can see one question about the SAP integration, about whether or not we're also supporting HANA. So we do support HANA. It's in early beta at the moment as HANA as a source, as well as normal ECC systems. And we've got another version coming out very soon with tighter integration with HANA as well. Also, one of the challenges in working with SAP, just to be really clear, we are fully certified. We've been working within the SAP space for almost 20 years. We have other products that specifically work and integrate directly within SAP structures that can take a slice of SAP data, helping clients often in their journey to better use SAP within those environments. So we're not violating any of the SAP licensing rules or processes here. We're all got technology that is fully certified and running against those SAP environments. You won't be able to play nicely within an SAP environment unless you work closely with them to understand the structures. So we're very open. Attunity are very strong with our Gartner lists us as being the leading independent vendor for data integration, and we work with such a wide source of different sources and targets that we're very proud to keep our independence and working within that heterogeneous environment, that universal platform for bringing valuable data where it's needed for the business.
It looks like there's a question here from Darini on how the data is stored. Maybe I can cover that one quickly off. So the part that Graham was talking about there, Snowflake in that data warehouse, so it's stored, or it can be stored in there. Accessed, so you don't need a visualization tool. Tableau, we're just demonstrating Tableau here because it's such a good way for business users to access that data. However, Snowflake has JDBC, ODBC connectors. You can connect via a web interface. Snowflake is cloud-based, and it's very simple to write queries and do ELT jobs inside a browser for Snowflake. So yeah, you don't need to use a visualization tool. You could connect your own code to it, or potentially even Excel and other tools.
So another question about SAP and BW itself. So it's good to clarify exactly. So BW as being the SAP sort of data warehouse environment. If you want to move data out of BW directly, you do need to have the SAP Open Hub license. So that's their data warehousing side of SAP. Typically, we're streaming data out of the production environments of SAP, the ECC systems, and now in HANA as well. So it's not the data that's already been through SAP's ETL process and landed into BW. We can get it out of BW, but then you need to have the Open Hub license from SAP to move that data around. If you're getting data out of traditional ERP, CRM systems of SAP, then because we're just as read access only to the underlying database layer. We're not accessing directly, putting any triggers or flags on the SAP system. We can just move and make that data available.
I think there's one other question here.
More than happy to follow up with some of the exact more than happy to follow up direct details of exactly how that integration is done with BW and moving that around. We can move that then to any cloud platform. So the integration now with Snowflake running on AWS, with Snowflake running on Azure as well, we can move and make that data wherever is needed across any cloud environment. So we fully support the heterogeneous cloud message of moving that data to whatever target systems you want. And just one other question where it's sort of one of our biggest competitors in the space of CDC technologies of integration is with Golden Gate. Golden Gate is the Oracle CDC tool for underlying database structures. We work similarly to Golden Gate, but the biggest differentiator is there that we do not need to install anything on that Oracle estate. So take SAP away for the moment, but just traditional Oracle systems and SQL Server and DB2 and Sybase and like our CDC technologies, we do not need to install anything at the database layer, and we can stream real-time data out of those transactional systems and land it directly and then into Snowflake. End-to-end integration to bringing your most valuable data out of all of those heterogeneous systems you saw in that support matrix, can bring those directly into the Snowflake platform. And we can then bring you that real time to build those visualization tools, those dashboards, so you can have that in transactional terms, the ODS level 1, a real-time transactionally consistent copy of heterogeneous data directly in the Snowflake platform. And again, just some more questions about that direct access license. I'll follow up with some legal. We'll send you the legal paperwork so that we understand exactly what the processes are. So yes, you can access that SAP data and make it usable to your users within the Snowflake platform. We will stream off the data out of the underlying structure. But what's called the Diageo ruling out of SAP and understanding the structure of who owns the data, that has been covered off, and we can bring you technology around that. And a quick question is about also, do we support Kafka as an endpoint? Yes, we do. There'll be some exciting integration also directly with Kafka and Snowflake later in the year. So we often see a lot of integration around that space for business process, for doing actionable insight to a flow. We can move and make that data available wherever you need it. But any questions or comments that we haven't got to today, we will follow up directly with everybody here on the session. There'll also be a live, there will be a recorded, this session has been recorded, and we'll be sharing you that recording just as soon as all the checks and balances are done internally. But I think I would have to say from all the presenters here today, if you have any questions, have any comments, would like further follow-up with us, we're all very open and accessible. We're more than happy to do more of a deep dive around our technology and our skill sets, about how we can better use data and make data available to your organizations. But I will take this opportunity then to thank my co-presenters today, Graham and Kevin. It's been really helpful and intuitive, and I hope of value to you all here today. But for myself, I'll also say thank you, and we'll hopefully talk with you all soon.